Right, everybody ready? It's going to
Okay.
take a minute for people to filter in, but let's do this. Hey, everybody joining now. We're just going to give it a couple of minutes for everyone to start filtering in. I see lots of you joining already. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We'll do the intros. Introduce you to the wonderful people we got in the room today. My face you probably already know from the previous meetups, as you will know Jason's. But yeah, let's just give it a couple of minutes and see how many people filter in. How is everyone? Jace, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, good. Warm. It's very, very lovely weather today. I know. Louis is... I'm going to call you... You can be my French alter ego. I'm the Louis to your Louis. Sat in the center of Paris.
I would love to be your French alter ego.
A much more presentable version of me.
Yeah. No. And so I'm very excited to speak for the Gorgias team today from Paris, as you might know it. And yes, so very excited to talk during this Shopify Meetup.
We should probably clarify that when you say talk for the Gorgias team, Gorgias is the name of your brand. You're not just referring to how handsome we all are.
Exactly, because there are maybe, I would say 100 pronunciation for Gorgias, but yes, some people say gorgeous. What is totally okay. Do you use gorgeous for your customer service? Yeah, I use gorgeous. It sounds like a fragrance.
Yeah, I like it. How you doing there, Mike? Got a good view of your keyboard, so keep all your typing to...
There's no notes today, so I'll move that out of the way.
How are you, man?
My usual setup. Yeah, I'm good. Like you, getting a bit warm. It's lovely outside today, isn't it?
It is gorgeous. So it's good. Hopefully some people are watching this from their garden. It is gorgeous. See how many times we can get that. Hey, everyone from Montreal, Canada. Nice. Austin, Texas. Coventry, quite a mix.
Isn't that your hometown, Lewis?
It is indeed.
Is that your family?
Too hard. Yeah, that's my family. We don't make it back there often enough. Austria, Paris. We could do the whole thing in French, Louis. I say we. Yeah. You could. I would struggle. Awesome. Still some people rolling in. Snowing today in Calgary, plus 20 degrees the other day. Snow today. That's not that dissimilar to what we have here. We had beautiful summer weather and then snow the next day. Hi, panel. Hi, Laura from ESC. How are you? Our COO there jumping in just to support us. Very nice. Miami as well. Well, we really got the whole world. Shopify really sent the email out far and wide. Laura's here to cheerlead. Thank you, Laura. We do need it. We need the encouragement. Kansas. I think we've got more people from around the world than we do the UK at the moment. UK people, speak up if you're here. Cornwall, there we go. That's what we wanted. I'm sure the weather's absolutely glorious there. Sophie, also from Birmingham, also from Eastside. Thank you, Sophie. Essex, Leeds. Copenhagen, Birmingham again. Hello, Rick. How are you? As people kind of filter in, we had hundreds of people sign up, and as is the want of people who sign up for these events, we will inevitably get quite a lot less than that. We will be sharing this out as a recording. Just remind myself to check we're recording. We'll be sharing this out as a recording after through all the usual channels. You can sign up on Eastside Co. .com, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all of those things we're putting out in various different ways. Orlando, Florida, well, that is jealous. Presumably you're watching this from some kind of ride at Disney World. As we go through, you guys have the opportunity to ask questions. The chat is obviously there and you guys feel free to use that as you will. If you want to ask an actual question, If you could put that in the Q&A section, it's just easier for me to manage the questions from there and they won't get missed. Yeah, so use the Q&A section for that. You shouldn't need to raise your hand throughout this. Feel free to, go to the bathroom or whatever you need to do without asking. That's absolutely fine. Library of Birmingham. So we do have a few people from Birmingham.
Is BAM another way to say Birmingham?
Brum.
Brum. Okay.
Yes, Brum. Yeah, that's what they call it. Also the name of a TV show about a little car that was based in Birmingham. It's just a little random fact there. Awesome. So we've got about 58 people in the room. I don't know if we want to do some intros just as the final few people roll in. I'm sure they'll be in and out as we go. I'll start, I guess. My name's Lewis. I head up the marketing team here at Eastside Co. Generally act as a bit of a host for the meetups. I'll be trying to make sure everyone has some value to add, asking your questions to the panel, and generally trying to steer this in as interesting a way as we can. Jason, how are you? Introduce yourself.
I'm very well. Yeah, I'm Jason Stokes. I'm the CEO at Eastside Co. Yeah, awesome to have all of you here. I'm really looking forward to freshing out some discussions with Lewis, and Mike.
Yeah. Louis, it leads us nicely on to you. Please introduce yourself to the attendees.
So hi everybody. So my name is Louis or Luis or Louis as you want. So I'm partner manager at Gorgias and I'm in charge of our European partners. I started at Gorgias more than 1 year ago. So happy birthday to me. And yes, 2020 and early 2021 was a very intense time at Gorgias because when I started, we were 30 people with 1,500 clients worldwide, and we were just 4 people in Paris. And now we are almost 140 people worldwide with 6,000 clients. So yes, so customer service is definitely a hot topic for merchants today, and I'm looking forward to speaking about that with you guys.
Awesome. You may notice that Louis got a slight accent. He is from France. And all the more wonderful for it.
My English accent, but it's the second time we have a conversation together, Louis, so now it's a fail.
No, I think actually you've reminded me that. So that is, I think, probably going to be the culmination of this meetup is your English accent. So we'll definitely get back to that. And last but certainly not least, and a great one for this really, because we've not done this before. One of our merchants, a partner of Gorgias as well, Eastside Co, Mike from Route 1. Hi, Mike.
Hi, yeah, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Good. Yeah, introduce yourself.
So, yeah, I'm the head of digital at Route 1, the leading skateboard and streetwear retailer here in the UK. We obviously, as you mentioned, now got a relationship with Shopify, having had the site developed in the last year, and also with Gorgias, who we partnered up with about 8-9 months ago.
Awesome. I like it. I think we're at a point where attendees are, you may have a few more people dripping in. Guys, please remember, if you've got any questions as we go through, pop them in the Q&A and I'll get them out to the panel as when we get a chance. But the first thing we're going to do is Louis is going to take us through a little bit of a presentation around customer service, Gorgias as a platform. Don't worry, it's not a salesy thing.
It's just like a quick presentation to introduce, yes, customer service. So now you can see our beautiful faces. And yes, just a few words to introduce Gorgias. We are a help desk and live chat solution for e-commerce. So basically, we're going to gather all your communication channel, email, chat, Facebook, Messenger, Instagram in one single platform. And today at Gorgias, 92% of our clients are on Shopify. And yes, we have our help desk solution was built for Shopify. And also, I have a little surprise for the audience. At the end of the presentation, we will ask one question and we will have one winner for one pair of AirPods. So stay connected. So
And just
today,
before we go on, do I have the chance to win those AirPods, or is it just at
the end, you're going to be the winner, Louis, because I sent you the answer. And the winner is...
Awesome.
So yes, today we're going to talk about customer service. So as you might know it, when we hear customer service, at first sight, it's not a very sexy, exciting topic. But in reality, today we're going to prove you that it's one of the sexiest topics in the e-commerce ecosystem, because it's how you're going to create a community. It's how you're going to interact with your audience on social media, email, chat, etc. And today, what is important for customer service is to provide a personalized experience. I spend 300 euros on your website. When I send you a customer request, I don't want to have like just 2 or 3 lines with no personalization. If you want me to go back to your website, it's very important to provide a personalized customer service. But in the meantime, people want personalization, but they want an immediate response. Let's imagine we are 1 week before Christmas. I ordered a few days ago on your website. I don't have any updates. I have nothing in my mailbox. So I'm going to send you a customer request to have an update because I'm anxious, I'm stressed. And for these questions, I need to have an answer right now. And that's why today, the key for a successful customer service strategy is to find the good balance between automation and personalization. And for that, the first step, so every time I have a conversation with a new merchant, the first step is to have a good segmentation of your customer support by topics, communication channels, and languages. And then you can talk about automation and personalization. What is the key for a successful customer service strategy? Because let's imagine we are Black Friday, Cyber Monday in a few days. You won't have time to hire 5 more people, but basically you're going to have hundreds and hundreds of customer requests on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So what is important is to automate all the questions that can be automated without forgetting personalization. So stop share. So now let's go for the conversation. You are on mute, Louis.
Can you believe that? It's been over a year, guys, of using Zoom. And what I've done is I've put myself in quite a public situation where I've spoken on mute. There's no real excuse for that, so apologies. You talked a lot there about we talked about immediate responses and people requiring that. Now, what do you think is the kind of main reason for people wanting an immediate response now, Louis?
So I think today there is a lot of competition on the internet, for sure. Mm-hmm. So you just need to go to Google to type in what you are looking for, and you will have maybe 10 opportunities to buy something. Mm-hmm. So basically, I think for sure there is different resolution time by communication channel. So for example, if you have a chat on your website, I'm on your website, I ask you a question, I'm ready to add my credit card on your website. Mm-hmm. I need an answer right now. On mm-hmm. email, it's a bit different. You can have like 10, 20 hours, 1 day. But I think today, customers are very, they want an answer right now because it's mm-hmm. just how the society is today. I send you my question. So basically, I want to have an answer right now. And because, as you might know it, today, a lot of people are just locked in their places. So people want love, they want empathy. And when I have a conversation with the brand, I don't want to send my email now to have an answer in 1 day. Then I will send another email and to have my final answer in maybe 4 days. That's why it's very important for merchants to be reactive and also proactive.
Absolutely. I mean, Jace, we've seen this with a couple of brands we work with, the likes of Amazon and various other like large platforms. I mean, we talk about other platforms, but really it's Amazon who have almost developed this immediate response, immediate delivery, just needing kind of satisfaction and responses and immediate. How much do you think Amazon and companies like that are responsible for this kind of uptick in the need for really, really quick customer service and really quick delivery times, quick everything, essentially?
I think they've set the benchmark when it comes to kind of customer expectations now, because convenience is such an important facet of interacting online. You get kind of instant communication gratification from Instagram, from Facebook. You know, you're used to being able to chat to people kind of instantly now, wherever that be across the world. So I think customers have evolved to the point where they expect that instant level of communication and support. It also sets the scene for the relationship that you're going to have with the brand. If you know that that brand is providing a solid service, you're A, more likely to buy from them, and B, more likely to buy from them on an ongoing basis, you know, building on that relationship and really kind of locking yourself in. But it's not just the speed, I think, of the communication that's important. It's the quality of the communication. You know, how are you answering? What's the tone of voice? I think, you know, you can bleed into looking at Monzo and how Monzo's kind of communication and customer service strategies kind of evolved. I know it's not necessarily an e-commerce business, but it's one that has done an incredible job of making sure that they have personality that really bleeds through all of their communication. So yeah, I think to throw a kind of question back to Mike, I reckon, you know, how has your kind of customer service and kind of customer support evolved over the last, you know, 10 or so years of kind of trading online?
Well, hugely. I think 10 years ago, you know, the expectancy that you just discussed around instancy, it wasn't there. I think much like deliveries, you know, 10 years ago, people would wait a week for stuff to arrive. And I think they were more accepting to wait for responses to queries of maybe a couple of days. Now, as you say, everybody just wants an instant response. The biggest challenge we've found over the last couple of years is how to respond to social media. You know, we as a business, as many do, place quite a lot of importance on Instagram and Facebook, and that's where a lot of people spend their time, and they're constantly firing questions at you. That could be at 2 a.m. or 2 p.m, and the challenge has always been, how do we, one, have a line of sight of that, and how do we respond quickly? And I think probably over the last 10 years, that's been one of the biggest challenges, actually. You know, websites will have contact forms, and you get used to being able to reply to all that type of thing. Live chat has improved all that type of stuff, but I think the social responses is where we've seen the biggest challenges, and getting solutions in that allow you to see all of that in one place and respond to everything in one place has made a huge difference to us and helped us move forward leaps and bounds.
What a wonderful plug for Gorgias that was. I liked it. That was so seamlessly done as well.
I'm looking for those AirPods. That's what I'm
So, I mean, that's a really good point I was going to ask you about, because it's interesting to see from a merchant is one of the biggest challenges, like you said, is that, you know, I was going to make a complaint the other day and someone told me to send a letter, and I didn't really understand what that was anymore. So, I mean, that's very rarely what happens. If people want to complain, or if people want an answer to a question, it could come from any of 5 or 10 platforms, I guess. So, Louis, I suppose that's the kind of the core of Gorgias as a platform is bringing all those different channels together, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because as I said, the first step for a successful customer service strategy is segmentation. And if we take the example of social media, most of the time you're going to have 3 main categories: positive comments, so good job; questions, so basically I sent you an email, you didn't have time to get back to me, I will send you a chat, you didn't have time to get back to me, so I will ask my question on social media. But also you will have negative comments. So let's be honest, everybody has negative comments. What is important today is to be reactive with your negative comments. And at Gorgias, we have a machine learning to tag all these negative comments. This way, as soon as you receive a negative comment on Facebook or Instagram, you will put this negative comment in the negative comment category. And this way you can be much more reactive. And if you are reactive, it's a very good point for you, because let's imagine someone is like, okay, I ordered 5 days ago, I don't have any update. So you receive this negative comment 10 minutes ago, it's tagged in Gorgias. You say, oh, we are very sorry. I will send you a private message with all the information. First, okay, you have the negative comment, but for everybody, it's the proof you are reactive and proactive with your clients. And it's very, very important to show that on Facebook and social media in general.
Absolutely right. Sorry, Jason, you go on, carry on.
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as kind of like negative comments and feedback goes, I think making it as simple as possible for somebody to leave that, no matter, you know, how, whether you want to hear it or not. You know, the biggest lessons an e-commerce business or any business can learn are from their unhappiest clients, their unhappiest customers. You know, solving problems, whether it be delivery, whether it be product, you know, these types of issues will crop up, but like making it ridiculously super simple for customers to be able to, you know, give that feedback, and also encouraging people to voice their opinions, to review the product, to review your business. You know, having that kind of feedback loop is ridiculously important.
Yeah. I just to add on top of that is that, you know, I think complaints on social media, you know, it's a difficult thing. And I think one of the reasons people complain on social media is because it's public, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Complaints used to be behind the scenes. You would send a letter, you'd have a phone call, and all of that could kind of be hidden from public view. You've got platforms now like Trustpilot as a review platform, which is very public as a brand, whether you choose to claim that or not, it's there. But then just with social media in general, the reason people do that is because they know it's public and they know that brands are more likely to respond. So each time that happens, you have a choice to make as a brand, and I'm sure Mike can add to this, but you choose whether to take the opportunity to turn that around publicly and solve that. And, you know, in the eyes of everyone watching, and there will be, a number of people watching that complaint, you have turned it around, you've made it positive, and even the people that might be detractors of your brand suddenly become evangelists because you've solved a problem. I think a step further than that is solving complaints and problems that you're not even tagged in, you know, just things that happen and conversations that happen around your brand, you know, seeking them out and looking to solve those problems for people proactively is one of the most powerful things you can do. But I think one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Mike, was, do you see a need for, or are you guys practicing or working towards at the moment, adjusting tone of voice or adjusting how you respond dependent on which platform it came from? So, for example, if you get a complaint via Instagram or a comment on Instagram, or if you get a complaint via Facebook or Twitter, are you responding to that differently in terms of lead time, in terms of response versus email, for example?
No, we tend to treat them all the same, actually, and we try to keep the same tone of voice across all platforms. I think for a business like ours, which is quite niche, you know, especially around something like skateboarding, tone of voice is very important, whether it be your marketing or your customer service. So we try and apply that same tone of voice across all our platforms without really singling out one or the other. And I think it's very important to do so. We always just say to the team, you know, when you're replying to something, you know, when you look at it, half the reply needs to be to the person that you're actually physically replying to. The other half is for everybody else reading it, and then that way you can answer the question, but actually also cater for everybody else who's looking at that one query.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably worth jumping into a quick question here. There's some stuff coming through as we're talking about these bits. So it's from Alison. Do you have any advice on how to keep your customers happy, even within normal shipping times and or delays? Everyone seems to have lost their patience because of Amazon Prime. I think Jason mentioned earlier, you know, Amazon and Prime have really set the bar in terms of delivery, and it's one of the biggest questions in terms of how smaller brands compete with big brands like Amazon. So keeping customers happy during delays. Jason, I mean, we've been working on a couple of different brands lately. You know, I'm sure Mike will have an opinion on this as well, but what's your kind of viewpoint on that?
I think keeping customers informed, and managing expectations. So I think we've kind of set up a few kind of projects recently, kind of ourselves at Eastside, where Lewis and I and some of the other team have actually been dealing with kind of customer complaints, customer service ourselves, all via Gorgias, may I add, just to plug them again.
Jason's after the AirPods as well.
Yeah.
So having kind of that first-hand experience and understanding what the kind of the trends of the inquiries or the issues are, has given us a nice amount of visibility from kind of both sides of the coin, not only dealing with merchants, but also kind of ourselves. I think when it comes to delivery, as I was just saying, it's around communicating with the customer so that they know when they place the order, they know when it's being dispatched, they can track that order effectively. And there's a number of, I'm not going to reel out the different suppliers, but there's definitely courier services that are better than others. And some will inform you via text message of an hour slot that will be kind of where your delivery will be turning up. Unfortunately, with anything, issues do happen. You can't have a 100% delivery rate, and things will get lost via the courier company or kind of be running late. But as long as you've got a service that actually communicates this to the client and they understand what the expectation is as to when they're going to be receiving the item, that should help alleviate a lot of the pinch points, a lot of the communication. The customer having to ask when their order is going to be turning up. If their expectation is it's going to be there tomorrow, they wait in all day on the hope that their new item is going to be turning up, and then they feel let down, and they have to ask yourselves as the merchant where that is. They're going to feel a little bit kind of disjointed with the process that they believed that they'd kind of purchased, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'd just say communication is key.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, presumably, not to disparage Route One at all, I'm sure all of your deliveries arrive on time. But generally speaking, everyone through Black Friday, Cyber Monday, through very busy times, through sale periods, towards Christmas, presumably the influx of orders is something that you prep for, but inevitably you're going to see an uptick in customer service questions. You're probably going to see some delays, whether that's down to actual dispatch delays versus just, the courier, like Jason was saying, not hitting the mark because they're so under pressure. Is there anything you'd add to what Jason said? Communication is obviously key, but is there anything you guys to do to prepare people for that eventuality?
Well, you've got to get the messaging right on the site so they know what they're signing up to, next day service, for example, and ensure that they understand the cutoff times to your website. In response to problems that you get on the back of that, yes, we do have them. Black Friday and everything like that is the time you seem to get them. But you've got to be able to respond, and you've got to be able to inform those customers of delays. And that's the way we would personally do it. If we'd missed the cutoff this evening and 30 people had missed that cutoff, we would physically contact those and inform them, because that's the service we would expect to receive ourselves. Otherwise, we could easily field 30 complaints or 30 calls the following day. So it's just transparency and communication, both in the purchase process and after that, where you need to be.
And Louis, is there anything that Gorgias are doing specifically to during those? Is there anything you guys are putting out, or any information people can get about how to manage those difficult times?
Yes, because I think today what is important for merchants is to prove to your clients that you know them. Because let's imagine I'm a client, I sent you an email to have an update on my shipping status. I'm going to wait one day to have an answer, and then I will receive, yes, can you remind me your tracking number? I spent 300 euros or 300 pounds on your website and you don't know me. So what is very important is to have all the information in front of you. This way, first, you can be much more efficient, and you can go to the next step. Because, for example, let's take an example. So you receive an email about shipping status. So you have a problem with your shipment strategy. So you will say, okay, we are very sorry for the delay. Here are all the information. And in addition to that, I would like to let you know that you have maybe 100 loyalty points, and in 20 points, you're going to be a VIP client. So that's why at Gorgias, we have integration with Yotpo, Loyalty Lion, etc., to have access to this information right now. because first you're going to answer to your clients. It's great. And then you will go to the next step and you will provide more information to the clients. And this way it's very, very, very great.
Yeah. I think the other thing, Alison, just to add to this is, if the core of your business is competing with Amazon on delivery times, you're probably going to lose that fight. It's, you know, they've got it down. They've got a huge network. I mean, you know, Shopify are producing things like the Shopify delivery network, which I think is rolling out in the States at the moment, or is rolled out in the States, that will help smaller businesses to achieve better shipping times, and hopefully we see that roll out globally. But if you're up front and the messaging is right on the front of the site, you know, the expectation of the customer won't be to receive it next day unless you tell them it's going to be there next day. And if you've built a brand where people are really buying into you specifically and not just buying into a product that they can buy from Amazon or eBay or anywhere else, if they're buying into you, you know, Route One, the place to go and get skateboards, for example, that you're buying into the brand as much as you are the product, then people are much more willing to deal with delays and changes and increased delivery times, because they could go and buy the product from anywhere else. Amazon sells everything. So they're buying it from you for a reason. So if you communicate right at the beginning and cut that off at the pass, then you should be in a much better position. That was a really great question. I think the core of it is communication, ensuring that you get the messaging right prior to there being an issue, and, you know, don't try to compete with Amazon on delivery times if, as a brand, you're not able to. But thanks for the question. Very much appreciate that. We've talked about social media a little bit. Marie has mentioned here, how do you deal with trolls on social media, or people who are attempting just to kind of call out the brand or cause issues? Serial complainers maybe are the right people, or people trying to get, you know, whatever that might be. How do you go about dealing with that?
I guess my opinion would be try and make sure that there's more noise about how great your brand is, so it drowns out a couple of trolls that want to say bad things. Yeah,
I think ultimately you can't please everyone, right? There's always going to be people who are habitually unhappy. I think in those situations you can be quite public about the work that has been done in the background to try and resolve an issue, which you see brands doing, and, you know, referring them back to the correct process. I mean, Mike, I don't know if you've had to deal with this, you know, not naming names or any specifics, but what's your kind of approach to that?
Well, we're in a marketplace where our customers are sort of 18 to 30. So we get a lot of stuff coming through on social media that we have to think about how we reply. I mean, some of it is, you know, they generally are trying to get a reaction out of you. So you have to be considerate. And, you know, like Jason said, a lot of it is just you fluff it up with a bit of a blurb about your brand and how great we are, and how we're happy to respond. And sometimes you have to take a judgment and maybe ignore it, because the response could be gauged in very many ways. So it is difficult, and as I said, with us, we've got so many younger people on there that, you know, that it's something that they quite like doing sometimes, don't they? Just messing around on social media. But yeah, we haven't particularly drawn up a strategy. I would say you have to take it on a case by case basis.
It very much depends on the brand tone of voice and the approach. Some brands have a really good ability to be quite cheeky in response, but there is a fine line there to walk, you know. But some brands, you know, their approach to customer service and their approach as a brand is to be like it's talking to a friend down the pub, and therefore they get the opportunity to be a bit more free in response. But, you know, if you're a big corporation or more of a corporate company, or you're selling, I don't know, B2B finance software, it's maybe a little bit harder to be cheeky, but definitely a few ways you can do that. But ignoring is definitely an option, especially if they're not a customer. If they're not a customer, then you really don't have to respond. Yeah, thanks for that. So in terms of Gorgias, Louis, in terms of integrations with Instagram, is that a plug and play situation for you guys?
Yeah, so just to let you know, when I started at Gorgias, I was partner manager for Europe, but we were 4 people in Europe. So I had to be customer success manager for some French clients because we didn't have any French customer success manager at this point. And I'm not a tech person. I'm not an engineer. And yes, Gorgias is very plug and play. You can connect Gorgias to your Shopify, your social media, your chat, and your email in 10 minutes. And then what's going to be longer is to set up rules to automate replies and the tagging of your message. And the tagging is the first step for a successful customer service strategy because your tagging is your segmentation. And yes, so it's very, very plug and play.
Awesome. That was a question from Clay. Have we got any opinion on, some of this comes down to how you set the brand up and the personality that you put behind the brand, but do you reply as an individual or do you reply as a brand? How did Route One do it, Mike? When you get customer service inquiries, is it an individual that's coming back or is it kind regards Route One?
We kind of split it really. We think email and live chat are quite personal. So when we're responding, we do try and respond as individuals. We're signing the email as individuals, although obviously it comes from a sort of generic Route One address. On social media, it's a little bit different. We do try and reply as a team. But certainly I was having a look before we came on the call and going through some of the emails that we had just to get some evidence. And yeah, everybody will address the team and they'll say thank you to the individual within the team. And that develops a sort of more personal relationship and makes you as a business more personal, I think.
Awesome. Jace, again, anything to add to that or do you think Mike's covered it off?
No, I mean, I think Mike's hit the nail on the head, really. You know, people want to talk to people. They don't want to talk to a faceless brand, as it were. I think when you are responding to maybe, obviously comments on public posts on Facebook, then you have to be your Facebook page or you have to be your Instagram profile. But any personalized communication, Julie sent you an email because she's got a question about the product. It should be Mike or Lewis or Louis or Jason that's, responding to her, letting her know, kind of where she stands and what info she needs. It's building that relationship. So yeah, I think personal's better.
Right. Question here from Mohammed. He's asking, so he's a business advisor from Library of Birmingham. This is a really good question, actually. If you're a small business or a new business startup, you're very lean, you're bootstrapped, aka you're funding this with your own money, and that might be limited to start with. What does a customer service strategy look like on a limited budget? So taking aside the fact that Gorgias is superb software, if you're just starting out and maybe your money is invested in other areas, how do you approach customer service strategy on a shoestring budget? Let's put it that way.
It's a very good question because most of the time when you launch your new website, so first you're going to build your website, you're going to think about your product, and sometimes you will think about customer service when you have time. But to be honest, it's not a good idea because customer service is not only about shipping status, refund, and cancellation. It's also how to build a community for your brand. Because if on social media you are reactive, you are empathic, etc., it's the best way to create a community and to grow this community. And in a certain way, it's the best way. If you grow your community, you grow your business, you grow your revenue. So yes, I think even if you are a small business, first, so it's going to be my keyword of the day, it's segmentation, because if you are entrepreneur, if you are alone, and if you have, 50 customer requests a day, if you are alone, it's going to be very time consuming for you and very stressful. If you find a way to segment all these customer requests, first, you're going to be much more reactive and you're going to decrease resolution time, and you will have much more time on your other projects.
To kind of chip in, if I was going more the bootstrap side of this as well, I've bootstrapped quite a few businesses. Putting a phone number or getting a phone number that, an 0800 or something that diverts to your mobile and taking customer service inquiries and calls and issues yourself and speaking to your customers yourself will give you such an important amount of feedback. You'll be able to ask them so many more questions about how they found you, what they think of the product, you know, whether they'd look to buy from you again, whether there are any products that you could add. You'll be able to really build those relationships, you know, speaking to somebody face to face, whether it be video call, whether it be over the phone, rather than just kind of emails back and forth, especially in the early days, will give you so much valuable insight as to what's important and what that customer wants and expects from you as a brand, for you to be able to then build that into your strategy for your business going forward. But if like Louis said, if you're getting 50 requests a day, so taking 50 calls a day might not be possible. But
the hope is, if you're taking 50 calls a day, that relates to 50 orders a day potentially, and therefore you've got the revenue to start. I think software like Gorgias and lots of the technology partners we have are about how do we scale this business beyond just me as an individual.
That's another good point there as well, Lewis, that upsell approach. You know, when you're speaking to a customer, like Louis said, understanding what they've spent, their lifetime value, how close they are to the loyalty points. Like actually being able to speak to your customer, you can offer a personalized shopping experience, whether that be, you know, over the customer service platform that you're using. You know, oh, you've bought this product, you might also be interested in this product. So it is, you know, any type of communication from the customer is a really good way to be able to introduce them to, sorry, Louis.
No, I totally agree with you. It was just like a...
Oh, okay.
I think the only thing I would add to this is that it's an absolutely perfect point Jason made in terms of taking these customer service queries yourself. And I think if you're truly bootstrapped and it's an entrepreneurial venture, it's usually one or two people, maybe three at max, that are starting the business out. So taking the customer service queries and then building out, we would call it a response map. So for every question you get, very simply put that in a spreadsheet, create a standardized answer for that. And that fuels a couple of things. It fuels the ability to speed up the response time, because you're not writing the same response over and over again. You can copy and paste that and personalize it as you need to at the start. But also building out a really solid FAQ on your site there's a lot to be taken from reducing customer service queries just by answering the questions up front. So depending on whether you're single product or multi-product, if you're single product, it's super easy because you just have a really upfront FAQ page that answers all the questions about a single product. If you're multiple products, then build out some accordions onto your product page, put the FAQs under each product, and a lot of the questions will just be answered by that. And also, just as a side note, if you're putting FAQs on your product page, it's really, really good SEO value from a richness of content and an authority point of view. You're much more likely to rank for specific products if you've got really robust information around that product over and above what your competitors have. So lots of ways to do it on a shoestring. Technology is the thing that really helps you kind of scale rather than needing it to start out. Add things when you need to reduce your time spent in the business and you want to work more on the business. As your follow-up question, Mohammed, I can see, can you put a number on the cost of setting up? When you're starting out, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It costs you maybe $5 in a Google subscription so you can get Google Sheets. If you want to sign up for Gorgias, we can give you Louis' email at the end. He's promised to give everyone really hefty discounts. I joke, he didn't say that, sorry. But yeah, in terms of setting up costs for Gorgias, we can follow up and do that. It's going to be on a very tailored basis rather than just
exactly
it's X amount. But yeah, thanks for the question, Mohammed. Alison's asked another question. I had to Google CSAT, which is customer satisfaction, apparently. Very similar to Net Promoter Score, that kind of thing. So the question is, customer satisfaction is the main focus for Q2 for Alison. Do you have any advice on keeping a healthy score, even if that customer isn't happy with a policy or delay, without giving away too much product or refunds? I suppose scoring is it depends on which scoring method you're using. I think they're all fairly similar. Net Promoter is either you're a detractor, you're kind of in the middle, or you're, I can't remember what the actual wording is, or you're an evangelist, you're someone who's promoting the brand. CSAT, I assume, is fairly similar. This is really just a way of putting numbers around measuring customer happiness, which is difficult to do at the best of times. But I mean, in terms of just keeping customer satisfaction as high as possible, Is there anything that we haven't said? I think we've said a lot around keeping customers happy, but in terms of giving away products and discounts and refunds, do you guys at Route One, Mike, have a kind of, not to give away your trade secrets about how to get discounts, but do you have any kind of line at which you say, well, this, you know, do you give customer service agents freedom in terms of solving problems proactively under a certain value, for example?
We have we let them do it sort of almost on a case-by-case basis, but they're allowed, they've got a little bit of creep, you know. Thankfully in our industry, a sticker goes quite a long way, for example, because everyone loves stickers on their boards and things like that. So it's surprising how much you can get away with by sending a bunch of stickers to somebody, but you've got to be able to take it on a case-by-case basis, and obviously dependent on the original value of the order and how big a problem their issue is. You know, sometimes we might give a 5% refund, sometimes we might give a bit of free product or even a discount off the next order, which obviously keeps them coming back to you. So you kind of got to do it on a case-by-case basis, but certainly nobody's allowed to give a 30, 40, 50% discount or anything like that. It's without being offensive to anybody, it's you try and keep it as small as you can, but it's got to be done in a way that obviously makes them happy at the end of the call or message.
Yeah, you have to remain profitable within that. I mean, one of the things that we've been working on with some of the brands that we've been producing is, you know, figuring out what are, you know, how much can we afford to spend to acquire customers, to solve problems. Jace, we've certainly had situations where we've had customer service queries where actually it was just much easier just to solve the problem by accepting the customer's request rather than going through a back and forth over what was potentially a small issue. One of the things that I've written down here is certainly in the early days, or as you're building a brand, and for bigger brands, in fact, is not to sweat the small stuff too much. You know, in almost all occasions, it's better to solve the customer query unless they're absolutely unequivocally in the wrong, right?
Customer's always right.
Yeah.
As far as kind of like feedback scores for customer kind of like, you know, customer overall happiness, I think, you know, it goes down to the quality of your products, the price and the service that you offer. And if you've got habitual issues on any of those three, it's business that you need to look at as to how you solve them on a kind of more global scale, so that, you know, you're kind of stopping the rot or plugging the leak. But yeah, it really does come down to, you know, the service. Is it the delivery that's, you know, that's going astray? Is it the product? Is it the price? You know, where are those customers kind of on trend? And hopefully by tagging you would be able to, you know, segment, as Louis was saying, the data down to distill what your kind of main issues are. Are they questions that can be solved, like Lewis said, by FAQs, by technical information? You know, are customers ordering the right product? Are they having to return it because they get it and it's not the right product? You know, there's other things that you could have done to solve that with, you know, information on page, descriptions, technical specifications, or is it around service? And yeah, you know, are there anything that you can do? Changing career companies, as Mike said, making sure that the messaging is super, super clear as to what the expectations are for delivery. Yeah.
I think this is something we consistently go over on these meetups, and I think in a lot of the podcasts and stuff that we do, we return to this a lot. And some of this stuff comes to really understanding your numbers. Like I can't stress how many. Mike's not one of these guys, so I'm just going to remove him from this statement. But how many brands, big and small, that come to us where they don't understand or they don't know offhand what their margins are, average or by product. They don't understand how much it's taking to acquire a customer. They don't understand their, you know, return rates. And honestly, you can't really understand how much you can afford to refund or return on a month-by-month basis unless you really understand those numbers. You know, if anyone disagrees with it, shout out. But for me, you know, if I make a £20 margin on something, shipping included, and a customer service issue will be solved by a £5 refund, it's a no-brainer for me. It's just something I would do without even thinking, because it saves me huge amounts of time. The customer feels very happy, and actually we still make money in the middle, maybe not as much as we wanted to, but you know, it works out well. So if you understand the margins, if you've sent out a product, if you shipped it and there's a problem that can be solved by a small refund, or money in the future is a great one, like Mike said, you know, discounts off stuff in the future, to keep that money within the system, as it were, then for me, that's a no-brainer. But if you don't understand the margins or returning customers, then, it's really difficult to say whether you can give a full refund to one person or, a 5% refund to another person. It's really difficult to understand. So really get to grips with those numbers, I think. Am I wrong? I'd quite like it if anyone want to disagree. No.
I agree with that. I agree.
I was trying to create some controversy. We could have been like the Real Housewives of e-commerce. Okay, awesome. So we've talked about kind of customer satisfaction. We've talked about platform segmentation, personalization. Louis, when you talk about personalization, can you just go into a little bit more detail about what you mean by that?
So when I talk about personalization, what is important, again, is to prove to your clients that you know them. So it's just to give all the information you have in front of you to your clients. And personalization is just to create empathy with the person in front of you. And as again, today, we are just locked in our places. It's complicated to buy physically. So it's very important to create this relationship with your clients, because customer service is not only about answering questions, it's also how to build a community on your brand. If you have a personalized relationship with each client, it's the best way to grow your community. And for sure, that's why it's very important to find the good balance between automation and personalization, because during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, during sales, during Christmas, it's going to be very challenging to personalize every customer request. But personalization is not opposite to automation. You can do both. For example, let's imagine you want to automate all your "where is my order" questions. You can automate these questions with all the Shopify information. And that's what are doing a lot of our customers.
Okay. Someone's followed up here on the CSAT question. CSAT is a stat that comes out of Gorgias. Is that right, Louis?
Which one?
The customer satisfaction. You've got a statistics that you can pull out of Gorgias based on customer satisfaction, right?
Exactly. And it's a very, very good point. I wanted to add something about that. So it's very important to have a good customer surveys, but you have good customer survey if you have a good product and a good customer service.
So encouraging positive, encouraging that to be a positive number is essentially just having a good product and making sure that you respond quickly and that the response is a positive response.
For me, it's not only about that, because customer service is the best way to see what is working and what is not working with your brand. That's what Jason said a few minutes ago. Because let's imagine 1 month ago, you had a lot of negative comments on social media on the bad quality of your product. So yes, you're going to have a lot of bad customer surveys, and it doesn't mean that you are not responsive with your clients. So sometimes you can have a lot of bad customer surveys, but the problem is maybe on the product, on your shipment, on your communication. So customer service, yes, as again, if you have a good segmentation, you're going to be able to have good analytics, and it's going to be much easier to take strategic decision for your e-commerce strategy in general.
Okay, awesome. I just want to answer this question quickly from Laura. Do you recommend sharing Net Promoter Score, CSAT, with your customers, or is it for internal information? Honestly, your customers don't care how good your score is based on a thing that they don't. It's such an internal thing. It'd be like me talking to anyone outside of marketing about what cost per acquisition we get. They just want a good experience personally, and obviously reviews and we'll get onto the kind of creating evangelists or getting positive comments rather than just negative ones. But I don't know if anyone disagrees with that. I just feel like Net Promoter Scores and CSAT scores are a good way of you understanding where you might have failures. But to an actual customer, to advertise we've got a Net Promoter Score of X, do you think that means anything to customers?
They might care about response times. it might reassure them in some way if they know they're going to get responded to quickly, but it's probably more of an internal measuring metric. If you've got a customer service team, your customer service team is, tasked to make sure that they're delivering a level of service, and the best way for you as maybe a business to monitor that are by CSAT scores or some other metric that, is similar to that.
I think things that directly affect the customers, right, like response times, we're likely to respond within an hour or 2 hours. It's often something you see on live chat, or, typical response times is important. Mike, I don't know if you use any of these measures internally at the moment, and whether those are any of those are shared publicly.
And the only thing we share publicly is the number of positive reviews that we've had. We try and do that just to sort of give an indication of the scale rather than anything else. But I think a lot of things is you with anything actually in your industry, you can get buzzwords can be used, but customers, like you say, they just don't have they don't care. They just want to come in and place their order and know that they're going to get it in a set given time. And it's all about you managing their expectations rather than telling them how great you are, I think.
Yeah, I think it's very similar with, we often get asked the question, does a customer prefer Shopify versus Magento? And we would like to say they prefer Shopify, but the real answer is the customer doesn't care what platform your site is built on. They just want to have a good experience. Obviously build it on Shopify. The customer really doesn't see that. And actually, Shopify prides itself on being the platform that nobody knows about. Everybody shops on Shopify. Not many people realize they do, which is why it's different to Amazon as a platform, for example. One of the questions here is, often people go out of their way to leave negative reviews, right? Because they're looking for a response or reaction or whatever that is. So how can we encourage people to leave positive reviews? How can we make it more likely that people leave positive reviews and positive comments? Mike, I don't know whether there's any kind of encouragements or surveys you do post customer service to make that stuff more public.
I mean, it goes back to the simple thing, I guess, isn't it? Just make sure your service is very good. If we get some really bad negatives, we actually physically try and contact that person directly and try and get to the root of the problem. And you quite often find they'll go back in and then re-review their review and sort of say, well, an update to this is that I've spoken to route one and now everything's sorted. And I think that's very good, but just don't leave. What I would say is just don't leave the negative information there. Make sure you respond in some way and you're actually responding to people reading it as well as the person you're physically responding to at that point. It's negative comments are never necessarily a bad thing. I think people get suspect when there's no negative comments, so it's just in how you respond.
I mean, that's absolutely true. Any brand, there's a specific number, like if you've got 4.2 stars or something, it's much more believable than just having, complete 5 stars. It's a mistake when people make them when they're faking their reviews, is they're all 5 stars.
Nobody's perfect.
And I had a look at your Gorgias account, and I can confirm you have a lot of positive reviews. So
Superb. And I mean, one of the things here that I want to say is that we talked earlier about proactively going out and solving problems that aren't necessarily yours to solve. This is actually a good competitor strategy. If you've got a specific competitor, if you can proactively go out and solve the problems of your competitors with your own product, honestly, you'll create so many evangelists. You'll create people who are actively going out and promoting you. So that's an interesting strategy to test, but also just being super proactive. And there's no harm in asking people. If somebody's left a negative review and you solve their problem, absolutely no issue saying to them, hey, would you mind going back and re-reviewing this? Hopefully we've solved the problem. And most people, I think, are reasonable and will go and do that. I'm going to take this question because Laura said she was cheerleading us right at the beginning. Laura from ESC, she's directing this at you, Louis, so no pressure. What are the most common customer service mistakes you see companies make?
So when I was customer success manager for some French clients, some people wanted to implement automation right now. So they wanted to automate all the questions such as shipping status, refund, cancellation right now. But automation is very important today. It's a very important topic for customer service, but it's not possible to set up automation if you don't have a good idea of your segmentation. so yes, I think today, so it's basically automation personalization is like the second or the third step of a successful customer service strategy. So I would say, so every time you're going to implement a new tech solution for your customer service, or even if you just have an email, a live chat solution, and your Facebook manager for Facebook and Instagram, you have always, you have a lot of ways to set up at least a small segmentation. So, so yes, for me, the biggest mistake is to forget segmentation as the first step of a successful customer service strategy.
I suppose just to kind of augment that with from a merchant perspective, Mike, are there any things that you guys have done historically where you've adjusted your strategy, you've changed things based on learnings you've got from Gorgias, from responses? Is there anything that you've adjusted in recent times, or certainly through, we're going to mention it now, the pandemic? It's the first time. We got quite far through without mentioning
That's
it.
the first mention, yeah.
I
well
know.
Done. It's very rare.
This is the new normal, guys. Yeah, is there anything you guys have adjusted at Route One where you've kind of got feedback and you've said, okay, let's change the process slightly here, let's adjust how we do this?
I don't think it's necessarily how we do it. I think it's probably we've been able to use the data to affect change in maybe product that we produce, or even partners that we have. A few years ago, we were with a particular courier and having a bad time, and we knew we were having a bad time because of the feedback we were getting. So we went out, sought a new one, and suddenly that feedback was a lot more positive. And I think it's being able to react, understand the problems that are coming through, and being able to react to it and make those changes. Don't ignore them. Jump on it and use the information that's coming through as something that's informative rather than being scared of it, I think.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for the question, Laura. Very much appreciate it. I suppose we've all used Amazon here. Anybody got any thoughts on Amazon's customer support? We mentioned that actually there's a comment on here that says small businesses have to sell through Amazon. Do we think that's true? I think there's a 50-50 response here, but I mean, Jason, go for it.
No, it's not. Not all of our clients do. Some of our clients, they see it as a massive channel. Same with eBay. That multi-channel approach. Mike, Route One's kind of in-store, online, and has an app. I don't know whether Amazon would be right for your entire range. Some businesses, it's right to use for a subset of products, but not the full range. It really does depend on the vertical and the point in the journey that business is on. It's a really good way to shift stock, but they also take quite a large margin. You don't get all the data that you would if you're putting the traffic and trying to own the cost per acquisition yourself rather than giving Amazon the cut. Really does depend on what your objectives are as a business and where you're trading and what other tools and skill sets and team you have at your disposal. Yeah,
I think the thing to add to that is Amazon's both a huge risk and massive opportunity, I think, as a merchant. The stories of, Toys R Us, I think, wholesale put all of their toys. They sold everything through Amazon as a retail channel online. And, eventually Amazon learned very quickly that people wanted to buy toys online. And so Amazon started selling toys online that weren't just from Toys R Us. And that is a big part of the reason that don't see them on as a retailer anymore, because they just didn't own that. They didn't own that customer experience. They allowed Amazon to completely take over it and essentially educated people to buy their toys from Amazon. Books is a very similar story. Amazon did a very good job of educating people to buy books through them initially. So I think you need to be aware that if you are going to put your product range on Amazon, you will be right next to your competitors. They can advertise against your product specifically. It's very likely that someone, if they come to buy from you specifically as a brand, that they'll be presented with something that's potentially cheaper and similar directly within that channel. So you have to be willing to understand that if Amazon wanted to, they could produce the product that you are selling and sell it directly on Amazon themselves. And that's not only a real risk, it's something that happens consistently because Amazon have the clout to do that. So you don't have to sell through them. If you're not going to, you need to have differentiators that say why people should come to you for the product over other people, over Amazon or any other platform. In terms of their customer support, I don't know whether the question is regarding how good their customer support is. I think it varies massively depending on what you're doing personally. But they certainly have the clout to just solve problems with money quite quickly is the big benefit of Amazon customer service, which smaller brands can't necessarily do.
I mean, it is still the merchant that's dealing with the customer support requests that come through from Amazon. Like we sell through Amazon, and you are still responsible for that. Another question, actually, Louis,
fulfilled by Amazon
unless
is
FBA. Do you plug into Amazon at all, Louis? So if you're a multi-channel retailer, you can sync up your customer service inquiries that come into your Amazon Seller Central.
Yeah, exactly. We have an integration with Channel Reply, so this way you can connect with eBay, Walmart, and Amazon. Because yes, for some clients, it's a very big acquisition channel. And yes, I totally agree with you. It depends on the product, on the vertical, on the size of your business. So there is no clear answer to this question.
We may have covered this one, and these are the last kind of couple of questions we'll take. I realise we're getting on a bit for time now. We may have already kind of gone over this, Kasim, but in terms of customer service, personalization, speed, where would you recommend a business and merchant spends most of their time and cost regarding customer service? I think essentially, if you're in a position where you want to manage all that at scale, then technology is certainly a way to go. Gorgias as a platform is a really good example of that. And that's the only time that really cost comes into it, is either hiring staff to answer questions or the software itself. Depends on where you are as a business. I don't know, guys, whether you've got anything to add on that, Louis or Jason.
So it's a very interesting question, because yes, I think for a lot of people, customer service is considered as a cost center. And for sure, if you spend your life answering to questions such as, where is my order? I want a refund, I want a cancellation, for sure, it's going to be a cost center. And that's why it's very important to make the difference between pre-purchase questions and post-purchase questions. Because today, if you want to buy online and if you have questions, you will ask the question, yes, I will have a question on your delivery time. I have a question on this product. I would like to buy this product, but I couldn't find the good color. So if you find a way to automate all the pre-purchase questions, you will have much more time on, if you find a way to automate all the post-purchase questions, you will have much more time on questions that can drive sales for your business. And this way, you will be able to turn your customer service team into a profit center. And that's what are doing a lot of our successful customers.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Viewing it as a cost center, same with all marketing in general. If you put that into your marketing mix, if you view it as a cost center, it's always going to be that thing. If you see it as an investment, then you can make it return. Just final question here now before we wrap things up. Just so everyone knows, I said this at the beginning, for those of you who missed it, this is all recorded. We'll send this out. It'll be on YouTube and on various other platforms for you to watch forever. So if you're missing any of these bits, don't worry, you can watch us back as many times as you want. Pascal's asked, for someone who's fairly new, can you just elaborate a little bit on what segmentation looks like? Maybe Louis, you can give an idea broadly. Mike, if you can talk to us about how you actually segment it. Louis, if you want to start with what segmentation actually is.
So the first segmentation is to segment by topics. So first, if you know how to segment all your questions related to shipping status, refund, and cancellation, it's going to be a big step for your business. Because at Gorgias, if we take the example of our 6,000 customers, 50% of customer requests are about shipping status, refund, and cancellation. Then if you are an international business, it's going to be very important to segment by languages and also by sentiments. So we took the example of social media. It's very important to segment between negative comments, positive comments, and social questions. So if you are a small business, you launched your activity like a few months ago, the first step is to type all the messages related to shipping status, refund, cancellation. Then you're going to be able to improve your segmentation. But for me, it's the first step. And if you are an entrepreneur, or if you are only 2 people to run your business, you will see the difference.
Superb. Mike, how are you guys segmenting in any other ways than that at the moment?
The key for us is to ensure you're segmenting them in a way that the right person's able to answer. So in the skateboarding world or snowboard, something that we sell, you've got to be able to get somebody who knows what they're talking about to be able to reply to the query. It's not the same as, where's my parcel, or what size is this? It's been able to respond in an effective way and with authority. So we try and separate things technical, everything else, because we're trying to answer in such a speedy way. We don't really segment so much because they're tasked with answering everything very, very quickly. But ensuring the right person answers the right one means segmenting that technical stuff is very, very important.
Superb. I think that's all the questions we've got for now. There's inevitably some stuff we missed. I think we talked about, the fact that customer service doesn't have to be a cost center. We talked about, acquiring customers through customer service. I think we've gone over all the major topics. We need to choose. Are we choosing the winner live, Louis? Do you want me to?
I have a question. So it's just who's going to be the more reactive for this question, because it's not a very complicated question. So what is the French translation of? No, it's a joke. So
I was ready. I had Google Translate up.
So you will see my screen in 3, 2, 1. What is the first step to build a successful customer service strategy? So who's going to be the first to answer in the chat?
Oh, hello. Here we go. 2 seconds. So you want the first person. Some people are just putting numbers. Oh my God, this is crazy. I'm just going to inform ESC now. Are ESC included in this? I feel like if you work or in association with the company, you're unable to win this prize. So so let me just scroll down here. 2 seconds. Laura's upset about that from ESC. Let's have a look. Just says here the winner is Lewis Thompson. Amazing. No, I joke. So many responses. I'm just trying to scroll up to the beginning of this. Okay. Elaine Schmidt said, what was the right answer first, Louis?
It was segmentation. So
is that number 2?
Number two. So
okay, awesome. So then Elaine Schmidt is the winner. Elaine, we should have your details on file. So the man behind the scenes, who I think we should give a shout out to, really, because he sets all of this up, and we really don't have to worry about it today. Matt Allen is an absolute star. He's our head of content at Eastside Co. He panics about this just before we start, every time it starts. So I just want to say a huge thank you to him, because without him, none of this would be organized in the way. He will contact you, Elaine, and make sure you're connected with Louis so we can get your AirPods out to you. Well done, Sophie from Eastside Co, in a very close second there. So well done. You don't get the AirPods, but you do get just a small clap. Yeah, thank you so much, Louis. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on again. We do have a podcast with Louis that's going to be coming out soon. My laptop died directly after we recorded it, so I've got to retrieve it from the depths of my hard drive as and when I can. But that will be coming out in the next couple of months, hopefully. Mike from Route One, a pleasure to have you on. I think we've been talking back and forward. You've been a client of Eastside now for a couple of years, I think, since we first started speaking. Go and check out Route One. It's a great site. We built it. Of course, it's great. But yeah, it's great products on there if that's your thing. Personally, skateboards are a death trap from my perspective. I tried one once and it was not for me. But thanks so much, Mike. Really appreciate it, and great to have a merchant perspective. Jason, as always, so much value from you. Really appreciate it, man. Louis, you put your hand up again. If you've got a question. Was that just bye? I thought you wanted to say something.
No, it was just like good.
You're just so expressive. The thing is, we've never had anyone on from France before, so we're not used to the hand movements.
Yeah, I'm
The
very
British
expressive.
people are all very, just the hands are, we don't ever see them.
I know,
but
and I'm doing a lot of theater and theatrical improvisation. That's why I'm moving a lot.
Okay, I like it. Thank you so much to everyone. We will be back again. The podcast comes out every month or so. So sign up on eastsideco.com and you get notified about the podcast. Lots of great stuff on there, lots of great guests. The meetup usually happens once every 2 or 3 months. So there'll be another one coming up. We'll communicate that to all of you guys. So please continue to attend. It's really very much appreciated. And we'll see you again next time. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Cheers.
Take care.